Chapter 846. Taking advantage of someone's misfortune. I've seen some amazing things from this match, Yu Wenzhou commented on Windward Formation's fight that round. As for Wei Chen's skill level, Yu Wenzhou and Huang Shaoxian had personally experienced it for themselves 6 years ago. At that time, the two had still been young trainees. Now, the two were famous gods in the alliance. Wei Chen was already 30-something years old. In the pro scene, he would absolutely be the oldest player in the league. The two gods tacitly agreed not to make any comments on their senior's current skill level. That fight unsurprisingly ended in Windward Formation's victory. Everyone's gossip craving had been satisfied, and were prepared to leave. The match recording had removed the waiting time between matches, and the group arena competition soon followed. The first player to come out for Team Happy was Soft Mist. The eyes of the Team Blue Rain players suddenly lit up. The Esports Weekly had reported that the player controlling Soft Mist was Tang Ru, a very beautiful girl. Even though there was no picture, the Esports Weekly was a reliable news source, unlike tabloids that made things up just to attract attention. If the Esports Weekly dared to make such a claim, this sister must be stunning. Hot girl! Hot girl! The Team Blue Rain players hollered. The ones, who were just about to leave, immediately turned back. Their enthusiasm seemed to explode even more than when they had watched their former captain play. Someone even started ranting how their team's greatest failure was that they had no girls on their team. That was certainly a true fact. Of the traditional four powerhouses, Excellent Era, Tyranny, Tiny Herb, Blue Rain, only Team Blue Rain had never had any female players. Tyranny and Tiny Herb might not have any girls as a part of their main roster, but they were still there. Excellent Era was even more mighty. The number one most beautiful female player in the alliance was on their team. When this was mentioned, who knew how many players were jealous of them? I say this is good enough. We have a match to play tonight. Everyone go practice. Yu Wenzhou saw that their gossip was never going to end and finally couldn't bear it any longer. He spoke up to stop this from continuing. As soon as they heard their captain speak, they didn't dare say any more rubbish. They clicked their tongues and returned to their seats. Huang Shaoxian still had the match playing on his computer. He turned his head and said seriously, "This sister's skill level is quite good. She might be a formidable enemy in the future." "We'll worry about it when the time comes," Yu Wenzhou said. Huang Shaoxian also complied to his captain's orders. He closed the recording of the Challenger League match that they originally wouldn't have cared about and also started the practice adjusting their mentality before today's match. In the pro scene, it was mainly Team Tiny Herb and Team Blue Rain who had the biggest reaction towards the Esports Weekly. Their reason was obviously because two of their former team members were now part of Team Happy. As for the other teams, when they saw the news, they didn't pay too much attention to it. It was only the second round of the Challenger League. Regarding Team Happy as an imaginary opponent would just be avoiding their important work, no? The alliance still had 19 other opponents that they needed research to be done on. Even more so, the Challenger League had Team Excellent Era. If they had to study a team from there, shouldn't they be placing more importance on Team Excellent Era? This was the helplessness Cao Guangcheng thought Team Happy would experience. Even though their team's strengths was extraordinary and had much to talk about, they would always be treated as a passing traveler because of Team Excellent Era's monstrous existence. In the pro scene, no one would pay too much attention to them. As for the player base, after some fervent discussion, they would also feel sorry for Happy because of Excellent Era. In reality, even those who stood by Happy because they wanted to see those face slappers fail wouldn't bet on Happy beating Excellent Era. But Team Excellent Era themselves didn't feel as relaxed as those spectators. Team Happy beating Team Everlasting with ease 2 rounds in a row forced Dao Zan to ponder things over. Should they be more vigilant towards Team Happy? Dao Zan's thoughts weren't on his own team. Excellent Era had encountered 2-player teams as their opponents. There wasn't really anything to say. However, Happy had been tested by Everlasting. It would be idiotic if Dao Zan didn't take notice. More importantly, the two teams were playing in a Udai Live battle. If Happy had barely won, Dao Zan wouldn't be as concerned, but Happy won their away match 5-1 and then ended their home match early. Such a dominant win made it seem like they still had energy left to spare. Dao Zhan had trouble sleeping that night, and repeatedly counted how many pieces of silver equipment his team possessed. When he saw the section dedicated to Happy on the Esports Weekly, his mood dropped even lower. In this week's paper, their excellent era had only been mentioned in one line, but Happy had an entire section of its own. Terrible. Really terrible. Dao Zhan barely glanced at the paper before throwing it in the trash can. He couldn't stifle his nervousness. Team Happy clearly didn't have as many resources, nor were their players heaven-defying. Why did he feel so uneasy? While Dao Zhan was having a bad day, Team Happy was having a good day. With Happy in the news, Chang Xian grasped this opportunity and paid Happy another visit for more interviews. His eagerness made Cao Guangcheng think of his first few days in City H. At that time, he would head over to Excellent Era whenever there was an opportunity. In the end, he was able to establish himself as the team reporter for Excellent Era. He was like the current Chang Xian and didn't understand their business relationship, only relying on their passion for work. He had run around frequently before being able to establish such a relationship, but, little Chang, is your passion for Team Happy truly worth it? Cao Guangcheng had the heart to advise him, but when he thought about it again, passion was truly a good thing. This season, their news station at City H would only be concerned with the Challenger League anyways. Chang Xian was willing to follow a Challenger League team. That was a good thing. Why should he stop him? When Chang Xian arrived at Happy, Chen Guo gladly welcomed him. Even though Chang Xian was young, he still understood basic relationships. Chang Xian naturally asked about how Chen Guo was doing after he had accidentally crashed into her last time. Afterwards, he expressed that he had come here to send them the news. At the same time, he apologized for not being able to use Chen Guo's picture. It's because there was limited space, but here will definitely be more chances in the future, Chang Xian confidently said to Chen Guo. He believed that Team Happy would definitely continue gaining more and more attention. That's good. Chen Guo didn't really care too much about her picture being published and welcomed Chang Xian in to have a seat. Where are the others? Where's Captain Yi? Chang Xian asked. He obviously didn't want to come over for no reason. Wouldn't asking a few more questions to get more information on them be good too? They're each busy doing their own thing? Are you here to interview us again? Chen Guo asked. No, I was just wondering, Chang Xian hastily said. He just hoped to ask some passing questions. He wasn't here for a formal interview. For one, he wasn't prepared. Secondly, if he did an interview and then it never appeared on the news, he wouldn't be able to excuse himself. Sit anywhere you'd like. I'll get some water for you. Chen Guo welcomed Chang Xian in like a good friend. Chang Xian wanted to maintain this type of atmosphere for his visit, so he didn't stop her. His eyes would constantly shift towards the second floor. He had asked about how the rooms were arranged in this area, so he guessed that Team Happy lived upstairs and went downstairs for practice and matches. The players might be resting in their rooms right now? Chang Xian didn't want everyone to come over to say hello. If he could grab one or two and have a one-on-one chat, how great would that be? Chang Xian was hoping for someone to come down. Upstairs, in Yi Shu's and Wei Chen's room, Yi Shu was lying in front of his computer working. Everyone had a computer in their personal rooms, but they used it less than the ones downstairs in the practice room. These computers were for their own personal use. For example, if they wanted to go online and watch some TV shows or movies, they could lie on their bed and relax while watching instead of needing to run downstairs and put on headphones. Yi Shu's business wasn't in the game, so he naturally didn't need that setup. There was only a QQ window on his computer screen. He had two chat windows open, which constantly blinked. He was clearly in a conversation. On the left window, QQ named on rifle. Team Everlasting's Wu Chen used his character's name on QQ. It was a habit that many pro players had, especially the older ones. Nowadays though, with the alliance prospering, player trades were more frequent. Sometimes, their characters might get traded away, putting those who used their character's name as their ID in an awkward spot. Still, many players like to do this. It was also a way of showing their loyalty to their team. Wu Chen's loyalty to Team Everlasting naturally didn't need to be questioned. His QQ name had been Dawn Rifle for many years now. Yi Shu didn't originally have his contact info, but after being in the scene for so long, he had a lot of contacts. Once he asked around, he was able to get it easily. For Team Everlasting, Yi Shu was only able to get Wu Chen's information. The other players had joined after Team Everlasting had been relegated, so they had no relation with anyone in the pro scene. Yi Shu had a high position in the scene, so he wasn't able to get anything. Lord Grimm. When Wu Chen saw the friend invite, he was very surprised, but he still accepted it subconsciously. How are you guys doing? After being accepted as friends, the other side messaged him. Not very well, Wu Chen laughed bitterly. He obviously knew what the other side was asking about. When the winner asked the loser this type of question, was it to console them? Provoke them? Wu Chen didn't hurry to a conclusion. He had been in the scene for a long time, so he had experienced all sorts of things. A competition would always have a winner or a loser. Even though the results made him sad, he could still accept it. What does your team plan on doing next? Yi Shu asked. Now Wu Chen understood his intent. This guy was trying to take advantage of their misfortune. Chapter 847. Also having much to offer. With Team Everlasting eliminated from the competition, Wu Chen was feeling down. However, he was a pro player who knew how to act appropriately. He knew that this was a competition and only victory mattered, so he didn't hate Happy for eliminating them. Yet, now as Team Happy's members impatiently came knocking, asking about the future of their team without a hint of sincerity, all of Wu Chen's composure and tolerance couldn't keep him from getting angry. How did the future of Team Everlasting look? As a team captain, he understood this better than normal team members. Currently, their disbandment was set in stone. Their boss couldn't keep their team running for a whole year without it achieving any further gains. After all, they had already struggled to stay afloat for a year after being relegated. If the team disbanded, then their accounts, equipment, materials and others would have no use anymore. Selling these things would be the last bit of profit they gained from the glory circle. However, anything sold under these circumstances wouldn't be worth much. After all, these things weren't hard currency. They had no value outside of the glory circle. With their team disbanding, they were in need of quickly getting rid of this stuff. In regards to needs, this was a market where the buyer had the absolute advantage. In addition, Team Everlasting wasn't anything impressive, so their goods weren't either. They might not even be able to clear everything out, never mind getting a high price for it. Wu Chen understood this. To be honest, Team Happy wasn't a bad choice of buyer. Since only these kinds of teams would need what a weak team like them were selling. Or, at least, it would be absurd to even imagine the powerhouses of the Alliance even looking at their assets. Although this was how it was, he was still pretty angry that Happy had the audacity to ask just like that. Yet then, Yi Shu continued to talk. Don't feel too bad about this. Competitions are competitions, now business is business. You should realize, your number of possible buyers won't be in excess. If we're talking about sincerity, Happy is definitely the best choice. Seeing these words made Wu Chen feel depressed again. Did he even say how, exactly, his team was doing yet? Then again, this was God Yi Chu, who was far too experienced in this circle. Being able to guess their position with confidence wasn't surprising. Thinking here, the last wisps of displeasure in Wu Chen's heart dispersed, and he eventually responded, I'm not in charge of this sort of thing, but I can help you pass your interest on. Alright, thanks. I couldn't find anyone else on your team, so I had to come to you for help, Yi Shu said. Right, Wu Chen wasn't in the mood to chat, making his replies as brief as possible. If we wanted to buy everything, how much do you think it would cost? Yi Shu then asked. I'm not certain, Wu Chen said. In reality, having been with Team Everlasting for so long, how could there be anything he didn't know? But how could he give an outsider such information? Alright then, I'll await your good news, Yi Shu said. Okay, Wu Chen replied. Not long after, the other's profile picture darkened. Wu Chen sat, stunned, in front of his laptop, staring into midair for quite a while. It was now that he truly felt that the team he had poured his heart and soul into, Team Everlasting, was not going to survive any longer. And what about Dawn Rifle? Wu Chen's gaze shifted to Dawn Rifle's card, which sat quietly on the desk. Would he have to leave the one who had accompanied him throughout his entire pro career? When he thought of this, Wu Chen suddenly felt a little impulsive, picking up his card, leaving the room he was in and walked towards the meeting room. Team Everlasting's countdown had started. After organizing the last of their assets, they would soon announce their disbandment. The meeting room was currently hosting one of their last meetings. As the team captain, Wu Chen had been asked to go, but he had declined. It was because he knew that it didn't matter if he went or not. Their prior meetings were always about the future of the team, so they needed the captain's and players' suggestions. Yet, now, as the end drew closer, was the captain's advice really needed anymore? Those responsible for management knew this, too, so they allowed Wu Chen to decline. So, when Wu Chen rushed into the meeting room, everyone was surprised. The meeting was in motion and the participants were all the heads of different departments. The captain, the head of the core department, didn't have to be here, and that made Wu Chen feel another wave of devastation. He almost lost control of his emotions, but thankfully his boss spoke up. "Little Wu, is something the matter?" The boss's question scattered Wu Chen's thoughts, allowing him to compose himself. "Have we accepted anyone's offer yet?" Not yet, though the boss was a little confused as to why Wu Chen would suddenly care about this. He still gave a clear reply to the player that he relied on the most. "We thought we should observe for a little longer. If there's any way we could find a buyer who actively asked us first, then we would be able to minimize our disadvantage." The club didn't have anything else to work on right now, so they focused on turning in the greatest profit from their glory assets. If someone actively asked after their assets, it would flip for a far greater profit than if they had to advertise their assets to others. "Someone just came asking me about it," Wu Chen said. Oh, everyone was stunned for a moment, but then became excited. "Who was it?" "Happy," Wu Chen said. The room suddenly quieted as everyone froze. The one who broke the silence was Heian. As the club manager, he naturally had the right to participate in this meeting. "Happy. They actually had the audacity to come knocking." "There's no audacity about it," Wu Chen said. "Competition is competition, business is business." "Whose side are you on, Wu Chen?" Heian seethed immediately. "I'm merely stating the truth," Wu Chen replied calmly. Heian opened his mouth to continue, but was stopped by the boss's raised hand. Everlasting's boss didn't explode upon hearing it was Happy, but his expression did twist a little. Even Wu Chen had been angry when Yi Shu came to speak to him about it. "What are Happy's intentions?" Everlasting's boss wanted a more in-depth explanation. "They wanted to find out our future plans, and if we are willing, I think they're sincere in their intentions to buy out our assets," Wu Chen responded. Sincere, Heian wanted to scoff at this, but, being able to become the manager, he wouldn't look at things so shallowly. However, his dreams and ambitions had been completely destroyed because of Team Happy. Hearing that Team Happy wanted to buy out what was originally Everlasting's, he had a hard time thinking straight. However, he had realized this himself and swallowed his words, not expressing his opinion, but sitting there quietly. His strained silence showed one thing. Even someone with a bone to pick like him was unable to deny a certain truth. Happy was a very good choice to sell to. Their sincerity. I think it should be trusted, but we aren't sure of what sort of financial backing they have. The newest issue of the Esports Home Weekly said something about their boss being the owner of an internet cafe. After someone confirmed this, everyone sunk into silence once more. To sell something, it wasn't like you could pick any price you liked and not care if the other side wanted to buy it or not. The other's ability and willingness to pay also had to be considered. If Everlasting really wanted to complete a transaction like this with Happy, then they had to have a clear understanding of others' ability. This way, they could get an idea of what the price range they were willing to negotiate within. No matter what you did, you had to have an understanding of yourself and the others as well. So, Everlasting's boss didn't immediately get someone to contact this possible buyer, but first had someone start preparations first. "We should go and figure out what sort of internet cafe Happy is running, how many stores, if they have any partners," Everlasting's boss planned. It was then that Heian and Wu Chen exchanged a look, and eventually Heian spoke. "Wu Chen and I went to Happy to take a look last time. It was very ordinary, and didn't seem like a chain." Hearing this, Everlasting's boss was dumbstruck once more. If they were just an ordinary internet cafe, what backing did they have to say that they wanted to buy out everything Everlasting was offering? Team Everlasting wouldn't last much longer, but they were still a team that managed to survive the Pro League for 3 whole years. Glory was thriving, so even if they had to clear out and sell everything, it wasn't like just anyone on the street could pick up what they were offering. Everyone here knew that the equipment and materials that Team Everlasting had managed to collect was worth no less than 30 million on the market. Even if they were having a clearance sale and their prices weren't as high, it wasn't something that an internet cafe owner could afford, right? It wasn't like they could assume that Happy didn't understand anything. Wasn't God Yi Chu watching over them there? It seemed like Happy's internet cafe background was a ruse, and that they had some other powerful supporter behind them. This might be something they couldn't find out. For Happy, who should we contact? Let's get into contact with them first. After some consideration, Everlasting's boss came out with that conclusion. Chapter 848. No inquiries. For Team Everlasting, everyone was clear on what they had to do in this clearance. Those who were responsible for internal affairs, those who were responsible for external affairs, those who were responsible for the inventory, and those who were responsible for settlements did as they were supposed to. As for contacting Happy, it should be the responsibility of the manager Heian, but since it was Happy, Heian wasn't the most pleased. After some consideration, Everlasting's boss let this task fall on Wu Chen's shoulders. Having been a part of the team for so long, Wu Chen had his boss's explicit trust. Actually, if it weren't for the fact that Wu Chen wanted to focus on the competition, he would be the manager instead of Heian. Heian was very competent, but he still lacked the pro league experience that Wu Chen had. Wu Chen's professionalism was something that Heian needed more of. Wu Chen accepted the task silently, not commenting on it. There were things that he had used before in the clearance sale and things he had managed to personally obtain from the online game. Yet, now, he had to personally give these things over to another party. Wu Chen wasn't sure if this counted as a commemoration. By the time he returned to his room, his laptop had automatically gone into sleep mode. After moving his mouse to revive it, he saw that the chat window with Yi Shu was still open. Wu Chen directly sent a message over, giving an even more straightforward reply than the one Yi Shu had sent him. How much money are you prepared to offer? Wu Chen, of course, didn't expect the other to answer his question directly. This was a test of the other side's attitude, looking at what tone and words they used to answer. In reality, such an important negotiation shouldn't be conducted online, though this was still the preliminary negotiations. Yet, just the preliminary negotiations between these two were a little too blunt. They immediately started out with the ultimate questions of, how much money are you offering, and, how much money do you want? Just as Wu Chen expected, Yi Shu was still next to his laptop and quickly sent a reply, we'll have to see what you have to offer first. If it's to your liking, are you prepared to buy it out? Wu Chen asked. For them, they definitely hoped that they could sell everything all in one go, but this sort of situation was actually very rare. From what they knew of previous relegated teams, each of them turned into a supermarket. Everyone would come and have a look and buy whatever they needed, ignoring what they didn't. So in the end, the good stuff was all picked off, and the not so good stuff was left with them to rot. In the end, they could only sell that stuff at a disgusting price to those offices. Of course not, we're really poor, Yi Shu replied. Wu Chen was speechless. It was hard to tell if this was the case or not, but it was clear that they weren't going for a buyout. If that was the case, there was no need to get in too deep with Happy right now. Everlasting still wanted to wait and see if there was anyone willing to buy them out. Can we have a look at what you have to offer first? Yi Shu then asked. We're still taking inventory, so maybe later. Wu Chen was already beginning to stall for time. In reality, the information on the more valuable items had been given to him long ago and there was no need to take inventory anymore. Those that still needed it were the items that were many and unorganized. Anything that they could collect a lot of was, naturally, low in value. Everyone wanted something good from them, but what Everlasting hoped for was that these buyers would also take a few things that were hard to sell with them too. In truth, this was a good idea, but was much harder to achieve than in theory. With their current circumstances, Team Everlasting didn't really have much power. To be honest, we won't ask for much, Yi Shu responded. You've probably already realized, the overlapping classes on our teams aren't many in number. Not many? Launcher, Warlock, that's already two, Wu Chen said. We don't need any launcher equipment, Yi Shu responded. Wu Chen paused. The launcher chasing Haze Happy had sent out on that day was rather noobish. Was she really just a bench warmer? In such an important match of the Challenger League, they actually dared to send up a bench warmer. Wu Chen couldn't help but think of the match they had just finished. The summoner they had sent up also seemed like a fill-in without any particularly striking abilities. Could it be that Happy was stronger than they had thought, so they actually had nothing to fear from Everlasting? Wu Chen couldn't help but wonder. So, for silver equipment, we mainly want your Warlock's equipment. However, there are a total of 7 pieces of silver equipment on that Warlock. I don't know the specific stats for each, but they don't seem like top quality goods overall. For the individual pieces, I'll have to see the stats before offering a price, Yi Shu informed him. You don't want it all? If I'm remembering correctly, your Warlock Windward formation has a total of 3 pieces of silver equipment, including his weapon, Wu Chen said. We do want it all, but we're too poor. We have to be careful with where we spend our money and what we buy, Yi Shu replied. He's still saying they're poor. Yet, Wu Chen still couldn't tell if it was honest or not. However, he had already figured out Happy's intentions. No wonder a team with only the backing of an internet cafe dared to come and negotiate with them about buying their assets. They weren't really here to make any big purchases, they were treating them like a convenience store, preparing to buy some soy sauce and leave. They had no money, but wanted to buy quality goods. This sort of buyer was the kind that people hated most. Wu Chen and Happy's preliminary negotiations were more or less finished. After that, they exchanged a few words out of politeness, but didn't give any hint of how they planned to respond before leaving. Immediately after, Wu Chen went to tell his boss of what he had found out. Hearing this news, Everlasting's boss was, naturally, rather depressed. He had thought that Happy would be a good choice of buyer and not the clingy brat they had turned out to be. That sort of person wasn't worth paying attention to so soon. All they had to do was scatter some rice for them if, in the end, they didn't have anyone willing to buy them out. After the preliminary negotiations, Everlasting became much colder towards Happy. They were already displeased with Happy, considering how Happy eliminated had been the reason for their disbandment. Even though competition and business were separate, the business they were trying to do between them was negligible. It wouldn't matter if it never happened. Team Everlasting hoped that another buyer would appear, but then 1, 2, 3 days passed quickly. It was just 3 days, but Team Everlasting was already very anxious. It had been 3 days and no team had taken the initiative to contact them. Those who did were the workshops that wanted to take advantage of their misfortune. These guys didn't want to buy anything for themselves, but just to resell, so they were doing their damnedest to bargain for a ridiculously low price. Team Everlasting ignored these people who were even more despicable than Happy. Yet they began to feel uneasy. Would their stuff all end up in the hands of these workshops? Why weren't there any buyers apart from Happy? Were they doing this on purpose to mess with them? There was only Happy, whose enthusiasm had not waned in 3 days. Lord Grimm would come and chat with Wu Chen every now and then. They really did seem quite sincere. It was just that they didn't have much financial power, so Everlasting didn't think they were really worth it. Today, Wu Chen saw that Lord Grimm had sent another message to him upon opening QQ, and had managed to guess their situation in one. How are things? Has anyone come over as a buyer? Of course, Wu Chen wouldn't dare admit the truth. Are you serious? The smiley face Lord Grimm sent made his confidence apparent. How was he so certain? Look. In the end, he didn't even had to ask since the other had already started analyzing their circumstance. Powerhouses wouldn't need your assets, you admit that, right? Yeah, Wu Chen said. As for the teams that are of similar strength to you, their needs aren't so urgent, so they can wait for you to give up and organize a clearance sale. Do they have a need to contact you so early in the game? Yi Shu asked. Wu Chen was speechless. This was similar to their own thoughts. Those clubs didn't need anything of theirs urgently, so they weren't going to be impatient, but instead just purposefully wait until Everlasting gave out. So those who do need what you're offering and are sincere about it, would be those teams with bad foundations, especially those who want to fortify themselves as soon as possible, Yi Shu explained. Yeah, Wu Chen had to agree. These kinds of teams, to be honest, are more common in the Challenger League, Yi Shu continued. The Challenger League. Normal teams wouldn't have the backing to buy anything, Wu Chen said. Even if they did, they wouldn't, Yi Shu replied. Why? Wu Chen was shocked. Because of Excellent Era, Yi Shu answered. Wu Chen was shocked again, but then came to a sudden realization. Excellent Era, it was because of Excellent Era again. With Excellent Era being relegated, it caused a lot of people trouble. For example, the Challenger League had suddenly become rather meaningless. Under these circumstances, there was no point in using money to try and strengthen their teams this year. In front of excellent era, spending money wouldn't do anything to change the result, they were still powerless. In comparison, those like Happy who were also in the Challenger League but willing to spend money on strengthening their team seemed to have far more dignity and spirit. I think you guys can give up on a buyout. You should probably spend your efforts on taking a look into the pro teams that are willing to become your transaction partners, and start advertising what you have, Yi Shu suggested. Wu Chen was still speechless. But before that, can't you guys treasure the teams that came to you to buy your equipment, like us? Yi Shu immediately added. As for now, you're seen as the team that dealt the blow which landed us in this situation in the first place, Wu Chen replied with honesty. Though his boss had him contact Happy, it wasn't possible that his boss had no negative feelings when it came to dealing with Happy. Upon seeing that Happy didn't prepare to buy much and saw them as a supermarket they could browse, his boss immediately decided to give Happy the cold shoulder. This was probably because of that grudge. Is this really necessary? Yi Shu said. But after all your hints, I suddenly thought of another team that has a high chance of becoming a buyer, Wu Chen said. Are you talking about Team Heavenly Swords? Yi Shu asked. That's right, Wu Chen replied. It wasn't surprising that the other had managed to guess this. Anyone with some experience in the pro circle would know that a team that had just applied to join the alliance would be a good choice of buyer. Team Heavenly Swords wasn't, as Wu Chen implied, a team he had just managed to think of. In reality, this was the primary target they had been keeping an eye on. Team Heavenly Sword. Not bad. In the reply, there was another smiley face. Wu Chen immediately sensed the other's confidence. What was this guy smiling about this time? Chapter 849. A straightforward collaboration. Wu Chen felt like there was some sort of deceit hidden within this smiley face, but he had no way of directly asking about it. Since he had just mentioned Team Heavenly Swords, he would obviously think about it from this perspective. Soon, he realized their relationship. Not too long ago, Heavenly Swords borrowed the discussion on whether or not Lord Grimm was Yi Chu to attract attention. Now, in the Heavenly Domain, Lord Grimm and Heavenly Justice as well as several other guilds had formed an alliance together to steal bosses, becoming more prosperous by the day. None of that was a secret. Team Everlasting was fairly weak, but any team determined to take the professional route required a guild in the game as a foundation. Team Everlasting had a strong guild too and used any way possible to obtain any materials they could. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Domain bosses were battlefields of the highest level, and they didn't have the strength to participate. They still paid attention to them though. Wu Chen thought about it from beginning to end. Happy and Heavenly Swords didn't have a shallow relationship. Even if they never had a relationship in the past, after these recent events, they definitely had some sort of relationship now. What's more, Team Happy really did seem to be a grassroots team that came out from an internet cafe. However, if you looked at their team roster, they had God Yi Chu, Ancient God Wei Chen, a former championship team member Chao Yifan, and extremely talented new players, who had started playing in the new server and had already improved enough to be at the level of a pro player. None of them were easy to deal with. They didn't seem like a grassroots internet cafe team at all. Perhaps Heavenly Swords was their true backer. Heavenly Swords executed a daring move, creating two teams at once. One would be joining the alliance through the application process, while the other would join through the Challenger League. When the time came, two teams in the alliance would be under their control. That would certainly be an unrivaled advantage. Of course, that definitely violated the alliance's rules, but all policies had loopholes if you looked hard enough. Wasn't Heavenly Swords trying to achieve their goal through underhanded methods right now? He couldn't even bear to think about it. The more that Wu Chen considered this possibility, the more issues popped up, but in reality, did Happy really have such a complicated relationship with Heavenly Swords? Everlasting had hopes for Heavenly Swords. That was a fact. In these past few years, new teams would join the alliance every year, but very few were as daring and overbearing as Heavenly Swords. Right after they confirmed their addition to the alliance, they came out with all sorts of publicity moves. They even dared to ridicule the top teams. Heavenly Swords' confidence could be seen from these actions alone. Now that the alliance walked the commercialization route, having lots of money was a formidable advantage. As soon as Heavenly Swords popped up, many teams actually closely followed them. They hoped that the owner was a stupid person with lots of money, who would brainlessly try to increase the team's strength after joining the alliance and wantonly buy useless trash at extremely high prices. No one thought that Heavenly Swords, which had come out with such high-sounding speeches before joining the alliance, would actually be so low profile in the summer transfer market that it was scary. This year's summer transfer market was quite lively. All sorts of god-level players and characters were transferred around, but this new team actually made no movements at all. Let alone a team with such confidence. Even previous teams would spend some money at the start of the season to close the gap in strength between their team and other pro teams. Heavenly Swords made no such decision. They didn't sign any famous players or buy any well-known characters. When they showed up on the competition stage, they appeared with the very same characters from their guild Heavenly Justice. They had bought a few pieces of silver equipment, but it only totaled to 20. In today's alliance, they were considered a poor team that brought down the competitiveness of the league. Some experts even wrote articles questioning the investigations conducted on new teams applying to the alliance. Are they not able to clearly distinguish a new team's quality? The current team Heavenly Swords barged into the alliance loudly. 3 rounds later, their loud entrance attracted quite a bit of ridicule. However, some people also considered Team Heavenly Swords' later conduct as correct. It proved that the boss of Team Heavenly Swords wasn't a stupid person with lots of money. They understood this point, so they lowered their heads for now. Moreover, for their first season, they didn't have any overly ambitious goals. They had money, but they didn't plan on throwing it around and instead focused on steadily developing. This analysis was closer to Heavenly Swords' real intentions. But then again, if Lulan Slash had never met Yi Shu, things might not have turned out this way. They might have been like what others had been hoping for, throwing out money, messing up the market, and then gathering a bunch of all-star players and characters. At the same time, this time, Heavenly Swords desired the plate left behind by the dying Everlasting. However, they were also now more familiar with a certain Yi Shu. Heian was the ace player and manager of Team Everlasting. In comparison, Lu Guaning was the core player and the boss of the team. His words held many times more weight than Heian's. Lu Guaning trusted Yi Shu very much. He even regarded Yi Shu as their advisor. Happy had borrowed their equipment to bring down Everlasting. Lu Guaning wasn't stupid. He was aware that Everlasting would definitely be sold away. After meeting Yi Shu, who let them know not to aim too high, Heavenly Swords made every effort to walk the steady road. However, their current record was still disappointing. If they took Everlasting's resources, their strength would certainly improve noticeably. Everlasting was just about to disband too. How could they let that opportunity go? Lu Guaning desired Everlasting's resources, but before getting involved, he asked for Yi Shu's advice, which surprised Yi Shu. Truthfully speaking, how could Yi Shu not know that as Team Everlasting's killer, rushing in to loot their corpse before they were even completely dead was certainly distasteful, but he didn't dare to wait. Don't look at how everything seemed quiet at the moment. Who knew how many teams were waiting in store to snatch them up? In particular, Yi Shu's most troublesome competitor was actually Team Heavenly Swords. Because Team Heavenly Swords needed these resources as urgently as their Happy. In addition, the other side had money, while Happy did not. Heavenly Swords could buy everything all up at once, but that wasn't possible for Happy. All kinds of markers indicated that Happy's competitiveness was very weak. Yi Shu was even worried that if Heavenly Swords really did make their move, there would only be slags left for Happy. Who would have thought that Lu Guaning would actually run over to ask for his advice before making his move? Of the 2 windows on his screen, one belonged to Wu Chen, an opponent they had just killed off, while the other belonged to Lu Guaning, who was a competitor that could steal away all of the meat in an instant. Yi Shu was feeling all sorts of things right now. Lu Guaning's trust in Yi Shu was quite moving. It was a feeling of a sincere friendship. The 2 sides would not only be doing things for their own benefit. From now on, any collaboration between Happy and Heavenly Swords would be placed above their own interests. In the beginning, Yi Shu had borrowed Heavenly Justice's strength to suppress other guilds. On the other hand, Heavenly Justice utilized the suspicion of Lord Grimm being Yi Shu to hype up their team's arrival in the Pro League, all the way until the 2 sides worked together to fight for wild bosses in order to strengthen their own teams, borrowing each other's strength. Lu Guaning came over to ask a question, which was for his own purpose, but Yi Shu felt like this sort of trust wasn't easy for him. Lu Guanning definitely wasn't an idiot and knew about Happy's situation better than many others. He would certainly know that Happy would also be very interested in a dying team. Even under this kind of background, Lu Guanning still asked Yi Shu for advice. Yi Shu wouldn't avoid the topic. He wouldn't conceal his team's intentions. The two would open up their gates and speak frankly because any ill feelings that might be involved in this competition was finally eliminated. Their intimate collaboration made things very difficult for Everlasting. Team Heavenly Swords was a sincere and rich team, but right now, even Team Heavenly Swords wasn't reaching out to them. What else could they hope for? Team Everlasting's core members were discussing this issue for the past few days. They had no idea if Team Heavenly Swords had any intention of reaching out to them. And now, once Wu Chen thought about the relationship between Happy and Heavenly Swords, he felt like he had grasped the crux of this issue. In order to grab the Money Mountain Heavenly Swords, they might not be able to ignore Happy's request. The two teams may or may not be one, but right now, they were advancing and retreating together. Everlasting could not ask to sell their goods because then they would be in a disadvantaged position in the negotiations. Everlasting also didn't want to stretch out their necks and let them behead them. The two sides were lacking someone behind the scenes who could put up a bridge, and this someone might be Happy. Don't look at the value of this someone. This someone would be a kind of mediator between the two sides, allowing both sides to negotiate from equal positions. If not, the two would continue remaining on the side, refusing to move. In the end, it might end in losses for both sides. This mediator didn't come out of nowhere either. It was artificially designed. From what Wu Chen reckoned, if it wasn't for Happy sticking their hands in the matter, Heavenly Swords might have started offering prices already. Happy stopped Heavenly Swords from buying. At the same time, they couldn't get Team Everlasting to come to sell to them. As a result, they were able to set themselves up in this clever position. Even worse, even if you discovered the other side's plans, there were no other options because it was only by walking this path could everyone's interests be protected, unless Team Everlasting let their emotions decide things. Wu Chen brought his thoughts into the discussion. After a moment of shock, Everlasting's boss sighed, a scheme. A true scheme. Let's trade with Happy then. We don't need to shut our mouths too tight. Afterwards, have them bring in Heavenly Swords. If what you say is right, we don't need to ask for them. They'll come to us. Chapter 850. Do you want to leave glory? After seeing the crux of the situation, Team Everlasting's negotiations went smoothly. Wu Chen immediately changed the cold attitude he had been using to communicate with Team Happy and started to actively ask what Happy's needed. What did Happy need? No matter if it were equipment or materials, Yi Shu had taken care to consider them. Every RMB they spent had to be done cautiously. That was the style Yi Shu had taken to ever since his return. The 2 million RMB worth of materials they had gotten from Samsara had been a nightmare to take inventory of, but Yi Shu had still personally typed out that list after carefully considering all the information and stock they had. Team Happy was stronger than most other grassroots teams. A profit of 20 million would shock a street of people to death. However, they couldn't compare to a pro team. Actually, there was a very interesting situation in Happy, and that was that none of the team members had asked for any payment. That's right, payment. Pro gamers weren't volunteers. As the alliance thrived, the paychecks of pro players swelled. A yearly income of several million was just the income of first-string players. The income of those gods at the top had to be judged by their respective clubs. Though there were pro players who didn't make a fuss about how much they made, those who seemed to have forgotten about it entirely, like the members of Team Happy, were non-existent. The members of Happy might not have mentioned it, but their boss, Chen Guo, hadn't forgotten at all. It was just that, as a Glory fan, she had a vague idea of how much the pro circle made. She hadn't purposefully forgotten, she was just a little afraid of trying to bring it up. If she really ran Happy like a pro team, there was no way she could afford to pay a god like Yi Chu with just her internet cafe to support her. This problem, Chen Guo even went to discuss with Yi Shu. And then Yi Shu discussed it with everyone else. It was more or less just since their team was just starting out, they didn't have much, they had to work together as a team, and not fuss over individual losses and gains, but there would be bread to eat and eventually a championship. In the end, everyone even looked at these words with contempt, especially Wei Chen, who put up both middle fingers at Yi Shu, saying, "You think I care about what little money you have with my 1.8 million? As for the others, Tang Ru smiled, saying that she had an income. Steamed Bun casually asked her how much, and Chen Guo hastily covered Tang Ru's mouth. The income Tang Ru got was the income of an internet cafe counter receptionist. Saying it out loud would be an insult to pro players. No one really seemed to care, not even little cold hands and Wen Yi, who had asked about it in the beginning. Now that he understood Team Happy's situation, he didn't worry about it. For entrepreneurship, in the beginning, it was formed of ideals and aspirations. It was a little inappropriate to talk of money in front of these beautiful hopes. Very good, continue to work hard. If everyone can maintain this attitude, our boss will definitely be very happy. Seeing how there was no chance of them being serious anymore, Yi Shu started to mess around as well. The problem of everyone's payment was somehow resolved just like that. In the end, this was their own problem, so if they didn't care about it, then let them. However, buying equipment and materials were transactions between them and outsiders. They might be willing to carelessly go over it, but their transaction partners weren't. So, Yi Shu always took care to consider every detail. Every RMB had to be spent in a meaningful way. Yi Shu had never planned on buying much from Team Everlasting when he contacted them. He was just after what he needed. The Warlock's equipment was his primary target, but any sort of materials they might need, they could also check if Everlasting had them or not. Everlasting started to warm up to Happy, thanks to their powerful supporter, Heavenly Swords. Yi Shu didn't reject their enthusiasm either, responding with even more enthusiasm and getting a gauge of Everlasting's current assets. Wu Chen was, after all, the commander-in-chief of the team, the captain, so, every day, he had monotonously been forced on looking over all the team assets. He had thought he was clear on what they had, but when Yi Shu started asking for so many details, Wu Chen's most common reply was, "1 second, let me check." After struggling for a while, Yi Shu eventually decided on 3 of the 7 pieces of silver equipment Leopold had: cloak, belt and shoes. Of course, it might be Yi Shu saying this, but the one who made the decision was Wei Chen. Wei Chen was an experienced veteran, so he knew what he was doing and didn't need Yi Shu's advice. Wu Chen had thought there was only Yi Shu on the other side, and would have never thought that old sly fox, Wei Chen, was also there. Facing the two of them alone, it was impressive that these few days of negotiations hadn't given him white hair yet. How come you only want these 3 pieces? The other 4 are rather impressive as well. In fact, Leopold is a very good character too. He had 4,840 skill points, which is already very good in the pro circle, Wu Chen earnestly advertised. He had submerged himself into his assigned role completely. Since they had realized that Heavenly Swords was the big fish hiding behind Happy, Team Everlasting's recent efforts had been focused on researching Team Heavenly Swords and keeping an eye on their characters in order to estimate their needs and better understand the bargaining chips they held. This was understanding your opponent to better understand yourself. Heavenly Swords didn't have a warlock, so they probably didn't want Leopold's silver equipment. That was why Wu Chen hoped that he could sell all of it to Happy. It would be best if they bought the character as well. Ahaha, 4,840. Our windward formation has 4,920 skill points. Do you think we would go around telling people about that? Yi Shu asked. 4,920. Wu Chen was struck dumb by this information. 4,900 had long since been thought of as the unbreakable limit for skill points that no character had managed to rise above. However, in last season's playoffs, Samsara's impressive performance made people realize their characters had improved. Then, Samsara had personally admitted that all their characters had over 4,900 skill points. The limits had been broken, but that was by last year's champions. For a grassroots team like Happy to have a character with 4,920 skill points, there had to be something wrong with this team. That's right, 4,920, so you see, your character is useless to us. Could you please stop hoping that we'll buy your characters? We just want the cloak, belt, and shoes, the 3 of them, Yi Shu said. Okay, I'll take a note of that. Let's move on. Wu Chen was already feeling a bit helpless. They had been going back and forth for 3 whole days just about the warlock equipment, but this wasn't Happy's only intended purchase, there were others. The list of materials you gave me, we had a look over it and think there are some problems. The whole fuss over negotiating always started from, there are some problems. After an entire week, Everlasting finally came to an agreement with Happy. 3 pieces of silver equipment on Warlock Leopold, the Hood of Sins, the Cloak Endless Sorrows, Soulful Short Boots, were all sold to Team Happy for a final price of 500,000. Apart from that, there was also the list of materials that Yi Shu had given them. In the end, Everlasting didn't have everything that Yi Shu asked for, so after several adjustments, they completely a transaction of 200,000 in value. That finished Happy's round of benefiting from Everlasting's misfortune, spending a total of 700,000 and gaining a satisfying prize. The 3 pieces of silver equipment could be used immediately, and the 200,000 RMB worth of materials were many pieces of gear in the making. It's unfortunate that what you have is too different from what we need, Yi Shu told Wu Chen regretfully after they came to an agreement. Wu Chen, having gone against 2 ancients of glory, was utterly exhausted and sent a random emoji in reply. What now? What plans do you have? Yi Shu sent. I think it's time for lunch? Wu Chen glanced at the clock in the bottom right corner of his screen. I'm talking about your future in glory. What plans do you have? Yi Shu explained. Wu Chen startled. The sudden and very personal question from Yi Shu made him uncertain of what to do for a moment. All of Team Everlasting's members seemed to already have plans for the future. Especially Hien. Wu Chen had heard that some pro teams were interested in him. But as for himself? Wu Chen really had no idea. His entire career in glory had been alongside Everlasting. Where Everlasting went, that's where you'd find him. He had never thought there would be a day where Everlasting was no more, and what he would do then. Until now, when it actually happened, Wu Chen realized that he had been avoiding this problem the entire time. His enthusiasm to keep himself busy was also an attempt to distract himself from these thoughts. What was he to do without Team Everlasting? As he thought, his gaze wandered around the familiar room. It wouldn't be long before he had to leave this place and, possibly, never return. Are you going to continue being a pro player? Such a message appeared on the screen. A pro player, huh? Wu Chen suddenly remembered, he had never had plans for his own future. When Everlasting was relegated, he didn't leave, he just wanted to return to the Pro League with his team and happily play for another season before retiring. He was already 25 years old by now, considered quite old by esports standards. The longevity of pro gaming careers in the glory were increasing, and at 25, he could still continue, but Wu Chen wasn't some big shot, he knew his worth. Originally, his ability wasn't anything impressive, so now that he was older, his reactions were getting slower, and his hand speed fell. He probably couldn't rely on pro gaming to put bread on the table anymore. It was unfortunate that he simply wasn't any sort of famous character. Many of those retired all-stars had found a home in the glory circle, but for him, his interaction with glory would be nothing more than a way of relaxing after a long day of work while recalling those good memories he had made back in the Pro League. That sort of life sounded really monotonous. Wu Chen was lost in thoughts, so it took him a while to notice that there was another message in the chat window. If you don't want to leave glory, you don't have to walk the path of a pro player. What else can I do? Wu Chen couldn't help but respond. Our guild is currently quite lacking in manpower, Yi Shu replied. Guild? The online guild?